Okay guys, I have the ESC plugged back into the CastleLink, and I'm going to go through and go back to set RPM on here now. When you first go in and go to select governor and then select the checkbox for set RPM, if you've never been in there before, the controller will ask you to set up your gearing information. And this one is, we can go ahead and redo it. The pinion on this helicopter is a 16 tooth. And then the main gear is 162 on a 500. And this is a 1600 kV motor, and it is a 6-pole motor. So we'll add that. And then it'll ask you what battery you're using next. And you just kind of have to do it manually if it already knows that. Select LiPo, 3.7 volts per cell for nominal, and 6 cells. That's what I'm using, a 6 cell. So then you can come down to your windows that are the RPMs that you're going to use, and these are the ones that the controller kind of modified. It does that. I put in 1600, 1650, and 2600, 2650, and 27, and it added the 15 and then the extra 30 to go to 2670 and the extra 16. And I guess it's just about gear ratios and something with the pulse width modulation or whatever, that's just the RPMs that it chooses to hold, so it does that. Of course, the brake is still disabled. Cutoffs are set for insensitive, soft, and 3 volts. Motor is set for medium start. Timing is for 5, and outrunner mode again, and logging software other than BC, of course, is set for 6. So back in the throttle window, the auto rotate is checked. So now we have to go back into the radio and tell it how to do this, because what happens with the auto rotate is you've basically got 2 zeros. You've got a true zero, which the ESC will arm, and when it sees true zero, it will always go back to your initial spool up rate. And then it has a near zero, which at that point it will change head speed at the head speed change rate. And that I found 16 to work pretty good. If you're doing an auto, you can get down almost to 10 or 8 feet before you hit the disengage the throttle hold and start to recover from the auto, and you won't hit the ground. So any faster than that and you get a little bit of a tail kick, any slower than that and it takes too long to spool up. So let's go ahead and go back into the radio now and set the throttle curve so that we can teach the ESC the proper way to determine whether you want it auto or arm. Okay guys, ESC is plugged back in, got the radio back out again, and I'm going to plug the motor or ESC back in, and again the motor's backed away from the pinion gear here. Okay, because I had that, I still have my linear curve on the throttle. You could hear the ESC did arm. So I'm going to unplug it, and let me just readjust that. Going into our throttle curve. So now we'll set a high for 30, mid for 30, number 1 for 30, and the low point for 15. Now if you have a throttle curve that's not as gradiated as mine is, I'm not sure, I think the DX7 has a 5 position versus this one's 7 position. You can do the same thing, you just it just gives you a little bit more of a line on the low end. Okay, so now we'll plug the ESC back in. The motor gives us our arming beeps. The 6 beeps means that it's seeing a 6-cell battery. And then we will go ahead and, we'll go to the throttle hold. And I did not mess with it. You can see I have it set for 0.4, or I should say +4. So we turn the throttle hold on and it shouldn't arm the ESC because it's the near zero setting. So now we turn it off again, and let's look at the throttle curve. Now if I move the throttle stick all the way down, if I move the trim all the way down, it scoots that line down to 0, and then the ESC arms. Now I can hit the throttle hold and bring the trim back up to neutral, so it's at 15 again rather than being at 0. So now the ESC, the only way for it to ever see 0 again is if you move this trim all the way down and the throttle stick is all the way down. Something that's pretty unlikely to happen in flight, so you're not going to likely zero the ESC out and then end up with a soft start in the air. And with the soft start, even at I have it set for a pretty aggressive start, it won't be enough to recover before you hit the ground. So now if we shut the throttle hold off, the motor spools up. Now we turn the throttle hold back on, the motor spools back down because it's at that near 0 setting. Turn it back on, spools right back up quick. Now, the one chink in the armor of this setup is if you do an auto and you come all the way in and land and let the head speed get low enough that you're going to want the soft start again, the only way to get it is to slide the trim all the way down again, turn the throttle hold off with the stick all the way down and in the normal mode, and then you can turn the throttle hold back on, put it back in neutral, and then you get the soft start again. But otherwise, there's really no way to get that soft start again. Okay. Now, how do you find the near 0 on the speed control? The way that I did it was with the radio set to the throttle hold position. We'll go list, throttle hold, and then we'll plug in and we'll turn the throttle hold on, and we will just move this down from 0.4 until the ESC arms. There's 2. So I'll just go 1, 2, 3. And let's just try it at 3 and see. This works there too. And at 4 it works too. Now, the thing about 3 is it might arm the ESC, so it might be too low. So let's try that at 3. And it's kind of a trial and error thing is the only way to really get it going. So at 3, we'll flip the throttle hold on. See, it arms the ESC. We don't want that. So let's unplug. Moved it up to 4. Turn the throttle hold on, and it doesn't arm the ESC. So there's your near 0. Is that 4 position on mine works? Yours may be different, so you'll have to do the trial and error yourself and just make sure your motor's disengaged from the main gear and just try it in a bunch of different ways and see when it will kill the power to the motor but it won't arm the ESC, then you've got it right.